Announced in 2017 after the amazingly positive reaction to Assassin's Creed Black Flag, Skull and Bones really wanted to try and capture that hype of open seas, of liberty, and adrenaline pumping privateering. I'll admit it that I loved Black Flag and the treat that was its sea shanty driven mercantile by murder piracy. You could customize your ship, go whaling, assault forts, and hunt multi-decked quarry whose hulls were bursting with booty that rightfully belonged to you. While Ubisoft has lost a lot of love as a company in the years since the announcement of Skull and Bones, I was still super excited to see where this game was going to land. I'd already written it off as vaporwave at this point, but I was super excited when I got a closed beta invite to take a look at the high seas of piracy once again. Skull and Bones makes sure to try and set the hook right off the bat as you're almost instantly thrown into the thick of a sea spray, splintering wood, cannon reports, and shouting in a huge naval last stand. Your lone ship against the might of the English fleet, it still does a great job of making you feel like a salt-crusted badass as you send multiple vessels to the crushing depths. That is until British reinforcements arrive and completely annihilate your battered ship in an overwhelming fusillade of fire. Much like Black Flag, the game starts you awoken from the previous rush of battle. Here is where the character creation begins, as your captain awakens among the flotsam of what used to be the ship you were supposed to be protecting, the Exeter. Character creation seems to be the most basic form of choose a face, then switch out wigs and skin color type fare. When these options may seem pretty limited, your actual character won't be seeing the limelight that much anyways, as when other players can see your character, it's your outfit that will stand out the most, but more on that later. After going with a captain who looks like they actually just survived a naval bombardment, I was picked up by two other survivors who immediately tell us that we're awesome and special and that all we need is to get to St. Anne, the first major hub area of the game. But before we can make it to St. Anne, it's noob zone time. The initial tutorial area is pretty small and navigable, especially in your little scrap dinghy. The only real threat here is a few large sharks and trying to navigate without ramming anyone else. The first indication of the multiplayer component is a gaggle of identical little sailboats all vying for scrap picking and shark fighting room. You have to disembark your vessel every time you need to enter a quest hub, which is the only place to pick up quests and crafting and the like. These spits of land range from little bitty beaches like this one in the starting area to larger towns like St. Anne, but the feeling of familiarity starts to set in, almost like where have I felt this before? After getting your quest via fully voiced quest givers, it's right back to the boat to go kill 5 wolves. Gather 6 scrap. You do some baby's first pirate quests to get the feel for it before getting sent off to St. Anne's via an opening title scroll. After that, what the game is and what it will play like really starts to take shape. St. Anne is a rapid-fire train of go here and talk to this person to introduce the different crafting systems, gathering systems, and familiarize yourself with what will, in my opinion, be the bulk of the game. Which is getting slightly better versions of armor, cannons, and the like to incrementally build higher numbers on screen. And that's when it hit me. This is Destiny, but pirates. Instead of picking a class, you have different types of ships with different roles. Instead of gray, green, blue, purple tiers of armor and guns, it's the same rainbow of hull parts, cannons, and ship gear. The tower needs your guardian to go to a specific area in a specific zone to kill a specific type of enemy to get a specific drop. Here, the head honcho pirate Skurlock needs you to go to a specific area in a specific map to sink specific ships to get a specific drop. Upgrades are available to craft, but only after hitting certain notoriety levels. There is, however, always a chance a particularly good cannon or ship gear will drop off of a kill. You can replace Destiny with any other live service game of its kind, it's just the one I'm the most familiar with, but it was while I was attempting to engage the tightly packed mobs I was supposed to be sinking for a quest that I had a weird moment of future sight. I saw myself dozens of hours in, whittling away at the same health bar and the same C for the same rewards. Sure, the levels would be higher, the damage numbers would be higher, and the ships would look more impressive, but the gameplay loop was always just going to be this. It may just be me, and this is definitely my opinion. I'm not trying to deny anyone their fun, but when my crew started to belt out the sea shanty, all I wanted to do was play a better version of this. A version of what was promised almost 7 years ago. So I did. I re-downloaded Black Flag on my PS5. This game is still in beta, so things may change, but based off my observations, Ubisoft is going to have to trickle out a lot of content constantly in order to keep players engaged. And God help them if they try and charge hefty prices for them. There are so many things to customize, such as clothing, sails, flags, hulls, etc., but not a ton in the beta, so I'm worried that a battle pass or real money shop is on the horizon, which, given Ubisoft's track record, does not bode well. So, you obviously didn't get a chance to play it over the weekend. We're busy people, and I didn't actually play it throughout the entire beta, mainly because I'd seen enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't have to get to the end of the game to know it's not for you, or that it's probably not for most people.
And it's really weird, is I'm a numbers go up kind of gamer. I mean, I've played Diablo, I mentioned I played Destiny, and it's just, I don't know if live service games are just going off now. They've had their time in the sun, or if I've grown past those types of games. But this just feels like a game that would have had a lot better chance of succeeding had it come out when it was originally announced in like 2018, 2019. And it may have succeeded. It's just, I saw where the game was going. I saw that it was just going to be another multiplayer lobby, accept quests, do your crafting, check your bank tabs, accept quests, go out to those quest zones, sink those ships, get that loot, repeat ad nauseum. And there's potential there, but I don't know if I trust Ubisoft to utilize that potential. Does that make sense?
Definitely not Ubisoft as of late. I mean, I've always been a fan of Ubisoft, but as a fan of Beyond Good and Evil, I have like a sick disease going on. So, Valve's already played me around, and I'm a big fan of Valve too, so I just like being hated on by developers apparently. But that aside, watching what little bit of video clip you showed me a while ago, to me, it definitely seems more like they're trying to capture not only the live service trend that has been a thing for the last few half decade or whatever, but it also looked like they were trying to capture the freelancer players like me. Like, on paper, if you just told me it's freelancer but 1600s, in the Caribbean or the Indian Ocean or whatever when this one took place.
And that does date us, because how old is Freelancer?
That came out in 2001 or 1999, that era.
So you're making a reference specifically to a 20-plus-year-old game.
Okay, but it is still modern day, somewhat relevant, because there's still Star Citizen. It's supposed to be the sequel, and it's been in development for 25 years.
Star Citizen's been in development for just as long.
But yeah, it looks like they're trying to capture that gameplay loop of where it's like, oh look, you can go out, explore. You've got your ship. You get to customize. You can build up your ship how you want to be. You want to be a freighter? Do you want to be a trader? Like, it's Did you ever play Sid Meier's Pirates back in the day?
Yeah.
Kind of like that, but with like a little more toned down instead of being.
And there are dialogue options in the game, and there are mission options in the game, or at least there were in the beta that I played, that kind of you get to choose your own kind of what kind of privateer do you want to be. There are go out and wreck merchant ships and take their loot and bring them back, those kind of quests. But then there's also like just take merchandise that you've purchased at one port to another port to sell for a profit. It even explicitly says that that's the type of, if that's what you want to do, you can definitely do that. And the way loot is handed out and gear essentially for your ship, you can get quest rewards. A lot of the beta early quest rewards were better cannons, hull upgrades, crafting materials, and what's called infamy, which is how your character levels up. That, and I thought, as I was making my way across the Indian Ocean, that I was just stumbling upon good items and cargo that was just floating out in the sea that was just free to pick up. Little did I know, I was actually picking up the cargo of other players who had sunk in that area, and I just had no frame of reference. I was like, cool, free stuff, the best kind of pirating. I didn't have to shoot anyone for it. It's just floating in the ocean. It wasn't until I was sunk myself that I got that pop-up message that said, hey, all your stuff's floating in the waves. You better get to it before someone else does.
On that note, does it show on the map where you died?
It does give you a heads up, a pin on your compass that you can sail towards. The problem is in some of the questing zones, so it's very much reminds me of like an MMO. So like if you think World of Warcraft, it would tell you go kill 5 wolves, and there would be a pack of wolves, just a zone that's just constantly respawning low-level wolves. Well, it's kind of like that in this game. It tells you to go to the specific area to hunt this type of ship. You go there, and there's just like 15 of these guys sailing around in circles. But the way the aggro works in that game, and the way combat works, is you can aggro multiple of these people at the same time, and they will sink you. And so, yeah, you could go and try and get your gear back, but you risk getting sunk again.
A little bit of a Souls-like there in that regard, or like not necessarily Souls-like, but like Diablo 2, older games of the like where you die, you drop everything, and you have to go back and reclaim what you lost.
Yeah, it's something similar to that, which I understand that would be a consequence limiter to someone just face rolling their way through the progression system on the game. I don't know how you trigger PvP. I will tell you that the beta was, or at least I don't know how many servers they had open for the beta, but there were enough of us running around that we were smashing into each other unintentionally, and you can do ramming damage in the game, but it never triggered PvP. Or if it did, they were kind enough not to fire back on me for my mistake. Bad driving. No, there were no road rage incidents in the beta.
Speaking of the beta, of the filming you showed me in PvP, the fact that there's no boarding combat and you can customize your character so much, that seems like a huge missed opportunity to have your character to duel on the deck of the ship, kind of thing, where you, like Pirates more specifically, where you'd go into the duel mechanic, or even like Odyssey, another game they made. You board a ship, everyone jumps over and then starts fighting via swords and stuff, and there was none of that.
A lot of people were upset when when it came out that there was mainly just going to be ship interactions on the high sea, and that your character wouldn't really do much. Just like in the starting area, there are beaches you can land on. There are half-sunken ships you can go in and explore, and there's some things to interact with and find on those maps. And you can see other people, but the only interaction you have with them are social, and there are no enemies that your character actually engages with. I don't even think you wield weapons. There are no weapons that you can get for your character.
Yeah, so no bandoliers, no pistol, flintlocks,
no pistols, no swords or anything like that. There's some cosmetic like daggers and such.
And that's disappointing, considering like they announced themselves almost around the same time Sea of Thieves was announced, maybe a little bit after. Granted, Sea of Thieves launched way earlier, but like Sea of Thieves, you have the kind of like a little bit more on Freelancer. Granted, that game was dated, but like, you can go explore and you can land on islands and stuff like that for the most part without being told to go there, and you don't have to go, especially Sea of Thieves, there's no loading screen. Like, hey, Let me go to that island, and I can land on any point of that island and go explore it and maybe find some stuff. I mean, granted, are you going to find anything cool on there? Not necessarily, but that's the whole quality versus quantity thing. But
Sea of Thieves is another pirate game, but I think that's almost where the similarities end, because they're two completely different types of games that derive player engagement from two different things. Because in Skull and Bones, your ship is just a little digital avatar. It's your Diablo character.
And
It's
that's why I
almost like
harken
an
it
ARPG.
to, Freelancer or Eve, because I mean, in both those games, your character is the ship. Like the only time you ever see your character is in a cutscene or in a portrait.
More so than that, there is a game that my wife and I used to play on Steam called, I think it's called Windward, and it's an ARPG where you play a ship and you can be a merchant. There are different classes of ships. You can get better hulls, sails, weapons, cannons, things of that nature. And it reminds me a lot of that game, Windward. It was a fun little game. This is a $60 big boy game, and I just
Wait, so they're not releasing this as a free to play, or is a full on release?
no, this is not free to play. Skull and Bones is not going to be free to play.
At best, what I saw from the little snippet I saw from your viewing of the beta, granted this is not hands on, but from what I've seen, that $30, like it's a criminal to charge
Is what
more
you
than
would
$30
think that would be worth?
at most, just because it's a first party title, or not first party, but it's a large studio. $20 if it was an independent studio,
And it is a beta, but no one in the modern gaming age treats betas or knows to treat betas as anything but a final product in name only at this point.
Because most betas nowadays are pretty much just an
Glorified
early demo.
demos.
Yeah.
Right. This is launching in February. There's not a lot that they can do. It's got built for monetization written all over it.
All those
And
loading
I'm really
screens on
scared.
there you showed me.
The loading screens, yes. So that's something. Every time you exit your ship, get on your ship, you go to talk to someone, interact with anything that's interactable, open up bank, open up menu, everything has just a black loading screen. Now, that may change to a colorful loading screen, or they might be able to optimize it to where there aren't so many loading screens, but right now it's just almost constant loading screens for everything you do.
Which is wild to me, and that is one of my biggest pet peeves in any video game, is the multitude of loading screens and the length of loading screens. Like, I'll forgive a long loading screen if it's at the beginning, like a GTA, where it's like, yeah, you're gonna sit there for like maybe 5 minutes for it to load, but when you load, that's it. Like, you ain't gotta worry about occasional pop in maybe later, but there's never gonna be another loading screen except for changing entirely new zones, kind of thing, like on GTA Online, where like Skyrim, I couldn't get into it because every door you opened pretty much was a new loading screen, and they would last, especially because I played on PS3 back in the day.
When I got to play the game, when you're actually sailing the high seas, super fun. But it's just like everything else is either flesh out the other bits where you're not on your ship, or get rid of that and just have, because there are ports in the game like you saw where you pull up to and you don't even get off your ship. You're on your ship, you park basically in front of the town and interact with the town, and you can accept quests, things of that nature. And then there are other like small beaches you can actually disembark and walk around on. I don't know if they're going to do anything with the disembarkation later, where there are going to be things to explore, but there's really not much your character can do other than just walk around.
Which brings me to my biggest question. Who is this game for?
This game was for people who had excess money back in 2018, and when Ubisoft was aggressively chasing down microtransactions. And so they saw the opportunity to make a live service game piggybacked off of a very popular Black Flag Assassin's Creed. And it never materialized, but they still released the game anyways. And normally a game in this kind of condition, I would say, well, you've got, maybe it'll be the next No Man's Sky, the next Cyberpunk. As much as I like those games, I would like to see that trend end, where games just come out ready to be played and don't need to be fixed down the line. But the fact of the matter is this game was announced in 2017, and they've had time. Some of these systems feel super old. The harvesting mechanic looks like
old
it came
too.
out of it came. It looks like it reminds me of Fable 3. I don't know if you ever played Fable 3, but the little
I didn't play Fable
jobs
3,
you
but
could
Fable
do,
2 had the same thing.
you could play the little jobs. You just stop the bar in the good part of the bar, and you succeeded. And it's just, that's what it is. It's a grindy, numbers go up, get slightly better gear to look slightly more flash.
Yeah, it looks like a
So
free-to-play
you can-
game, and it's a $60 title. That's what baffles me.
And I'm currently now in my leisure time playing Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. This game made me go re-download that game. I have it on PlayStation Plus, it's free to play if you have that service. And not only because the one that you can download on PS5 is the PlayStation 4 version, and not only does it play better, in my opinion, the ship combat and things of that nature, it looks better. The PlayStation 4 game, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, looks better than now it was a beta, and I am playing, full disclosure, FlowDrive does not have a powerful fancy rig. It's getting on in years, and it's probably time to replace it. We will address that when funds are available, but it's not a bad looking game, and I understand that they have to load a ton of
It's also not a
players
pretty
in
game,
it,
from what I saw.
but it's not fantastic looking.
It looks old. It looks dated. It looks like it should have came out in 2018. Like, if this game came out in 2018, the aesthetics complaints for it wouldn't be there. It looks like, and I don't mean this in any disrespect towards the developers, but it looks like B-tier Ubisoft graphics for, like,
well, that's
when you know it's not their mainline Assassin's Creed, it's their offshoot, going to Nintendo or the phone kind of thing.
Well, we were making fun of, during the opening title scroll of the game, it goes through, I think, every Ubisoft studio in existence had something to do with this game.
Oh yeah, all the names
because
popped up.
it goes down like a world tour of Ubisoft studios, and I don't know what they're doing. Is it a kind of like push it out the door, hope it sells, hope you get some things? Because I want it to succeed. I want all creative endeavors to succeed in some form or fashion, even if we learn stuff from the game. I would love to have an awesome pirate game, but right now we have Black Flag and Sea of Thieves, and I don't see where this is supposed to land in the market, other than it missed the Destiny train, or it missed that live service train that was rocking a couple of years ago. I don't see it competing with gamers' time.
Because maybe they could salvage it. Maybe they could add on to it. Maybe I'm being too harsh.
It
But at
is
the
a
same
beta.
time,
Maybe I hope that we're wrong.
see, that's the star and the asterisk. That's the caveat. Is it a beta as betas are supposed to be, or is this just a marketing beta for, like, hey, we got to ship? Because it's coming out in February. There's nothing. It can't be a classic software beta. This has to be the demo beta, I feel like, especially because they opened it up for everyone this last weekend, and it's coming out in 2 months.
I did like playing it. I'm really into dress up games.
I was gonna say, was it?
People
Yeah,
who
was
watch
it
those
fun?
channels are, and so I did enjoy earning money just to make my character look better, even though literally no one else would see it outside of people who are sharing that little quest hub zone. And I did get a lemur or a monkey or some small primate to hang out on my ship. But there wasn't a ton of options. Like, there was only one item that was blocked out due to infamy rating in that vendor I had access to. I don't know if other vendors have other outfits, or I don't know if they're going to add some more stuff later, but it kind of reeks of cash shop. Like, they're going to add more, and they should not do that. But I do want to leave this on a positive note because
I was about to ask you
what's
our closing thoughts on it?
Closing thoughts on it is if they continue to add content consistently, unpaid content to the game, and they support it, work on those loading screens. I will say I never throughout the entire weekend had any connection issues. Everything was pretty silky. I never had any jumps, skips, Lancelot runs, rubber banding, or anything like that. I was surprised by how stable the netcode was.
Before I say my final thoughts on it, one last question I have to ask you. Did it at any time give you that drive or that desire, more like, to launch the game? Or was it more just because, well, I'm in the beta, I might as well launch just to see more of it, kind of thing?
I will be 100% honest with you and our viewers. I had to force myself to play the game. I had to force myself to launch it on the second day. Because at the end of my play session on the first day, I downloaded Assassin's Creed Black Flag on my PlayStation 5. And that's what I wanted to play. And if we were not going to be making a video on this, I probably wouldn't have booted it back up. I did it for you guys.
If they lower the price eventually, like if they leave it as is, it's obviously they have to lower the price. But if they leave it at the current rate, they have to do the No Man's Sky style / Ubisoft was doing there for a minute, where they were giving it a fat tail of it needs to have ship combat. I'm sorry, like if you're gonna board, don't just give me a menu of what I collected. Like especially if you're gonna have PvP, or ship versus human combat at all. Because
I was surprised by how easy it is to initiate that.
What's the purpose? Like, okay, cool, it gets you more stuff, and it's slightly different gameplay, but it's not what people want when they want to go, like, hey, I'm going to go hookshot that boat and land on it. No, they want to land there, duel the other captain, or just fight other people, shoot them with their flintlocks. Like, they want to be a pirate. Like, if this is supposed to be a pirate fantasy game, make me feel like a pirate.
Guys, we hope you, or at least I hope this video helps you on any thoughts about playing Skull and Bones or maybe looking into it. Don't just take our word for it. Shop it around. Check what other people are saying about it. This is just our opinion. I hope it succeeds, but as of right now, I don't see myself picking this up in February.
Yeah, don't forget to leave us a like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let us know. Are you interested in this game? Do you want to play it? Did you play the beta? If so, what do you think about it?